What's up, everybody? Want to do some painting? Bob Ross style? Pretty fun and relatively easy, but one thing I have found out that, man, making perspective and shading and shit like that is pretty hard. But, shit, to get you going, it ain't all that expensive, really. Like, canvases, kind of like $4, $5 a piece, but you get some of this halfway decent paint. Winsor & Newton Winton. These little ones are 37 milliliters. I think these are like $6 or $7 a piece. Otherwise, you can get these big motherfuckers. They're like $20. Pretty good quality. For some reason, the white paint in this huge tube is really thick, and that's apparently what you want with this type of painting style, is really thick oil paint. If it's all runny and oily and pretty, like, just not very thick and consistent, might not be the best for this, because you need it to like grab and stick or whatever. But I figured do a little. I've done probably 12 paintings so far. Relatively decent at some things, pretty bad at most others. Sure, it'll take hundreds of paintings to even make shit that's worthwhile, but half the fun is the learning experience. And I got a new brush I have not broken down yet and bought the Bob Ross brush because they're like $20. But I was using these cheap little fucking hardware store ones because you don't want to use synthetic bristles. I tried one of these with the synthetic bristles and it just doesn't hold paint right. It doesn't let go of the paint right, so everything sort of just smears when you're trying to tap shit on there. So this one is a natural bristle apparently. It works better, but there's just not much bristle length to get bends and shit to really make the whole style of painting work. So I bought this one. It's a little bit longer. Feels relatively natural. It's probably some type of synthetic thing that's supposed to feel natural, but it's not silky like these, whatever, polyester, whatever the hell these are made of. Like, very, very fine. Just doesn't hold paint for shit, really. So try this beast, see what happens, and hopefully we get some pretty good results out of it. Now I already, if you ever watch Bob Ross, he always says he's already put this thin coat of liquid white on the canvas and cannot express enough how thin of a thin coat you need. Like, almost nothing. It should take you several minutes to get that shit spread out. So just barely dunk the tip of it in, you get this big tub of it. Comes in this type of tub, liquid white. There's liquid black and liquid clear as well. I only have the liquid white, and it's a fucking mess too. It is disastrous. Oh, I wish I could paint chippy. I can't do portraits or nothing. Like, fucking landscapes is hard enough, man. But who knows, maybe eventually I'll get around to painting some chippies, you know. Gotta work on my mustaches, though. I gotta really get good at that first, I think. So basically, all I got is some fan brushes, these like hog bristles or some shit. So Bob always talks about a 3 is the small one and a 6 is the bigger one. So I got a couple of them. Another little 1-inch brush, little cheap ones from the hardware store. Again, it probably would work better if it was longer, so we'll see how this one turns out, because they got, I think, a 1.5 inch at the hardware store I'm at, so we'll see what happens. And then a couple palette knives. There's a bigger one and a smaller one. And I'll tell you one thing, you're going to spend a lot of time mixing paint. I don't know how the hell Bob makes it look so easy, the speed mixer. But try to do like a purplish fading into a dark red sky. So again, that's one thing Bob always says is you don't have to try to make everything exactly like it is in real life. Sometimes it's fun to just do weird shit. See, fucking put a green sky in. I dare ya. Put a green sky in and see what happens. Fuck it. So, mix up some red and some blue here. I don't know, I got fucking the colors. I don't know what the fuck they are. Alizarin Crimson and maybe Cerulean Blue. I got the old Phthalo Blue as well, but I've just been trying out. I got like 2, 4, 6, 8 dozen, maybe 14 different colors and trying them out. See which ones I like. Then you go ahead and you buy the bigger tube once you find out if it's good or not. So I just use these knives to mix the shit up. You really got to smash that motherfucker flat to squeeze all the paints out. It just takes a long fucking time, man. You spend a lot of time mixing colors. But, you know, there's no rush. With oil paint, fuck, you could spend the weekend doing this goddamn painting. That shit, it takes weeks. Some colors take months to dry. I couldn't fucking believe it, man. So keep that in mind. If you do this shit, you get a finished painting, it ain't gonna be like a watercolor and dry in 10 minutes, man. You gotta find somewhere to put that shit for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then hope it's dry. So it's crazy. It doesn't dry through evaporation, it dries through oxidation, so it takes a very long time. But mix up a little purple color here. Fuck, we'll see what happens. Get this new brush fired up and get her going. Alright, that's probably good enough. You always want to have a shitload of paper towels around too to wipe the stuff down. The knives and whatnot. So, let's, No, I'm definitely not Canadian. Close, though. I probably like 6 hour, 7 hour drive to Canada, probably, from where I am. So, alright, we'll start up here with the purple. Oh, I don't think this brush is going to do any good. The bristles might be too thin on this one too. And this is a thing I learned after my first painting. Like, that's about all the paint you need on it. I'm just sort of like pulling it back, tapping it around like that out of the not big pile I created, but out of the pile I created. Because it's pretty strong, but you got that liquid white, it's going to, eventually, you'll see it'll blend all out, and the more you do it, the more it blends and softens, and hey, if you fuck it up, it doesn't really matter. Like, you can honestly just scrape a bunch of it off with the palette knives and kind of start over if you wanted to, but try to do these little X's, start filling in the sky, little crisscrosses. You can see it sort of starts at like a dark blob in the middle. You can just work that shit out, spread that paint. Shockingly easy to work with this stuff. It doesn't have to be perfectly uniform across. Maybe clean off the old brush here. And I just bought a paint can that's like got some type of liner inside that's made for storing paint thinner and shit. And then I bought I don't know, like a little baking rack thing that you'd put on a cookie sheet to elevate something. Just a small one of them off of Amazon, and I took a wire cutter and just cut it to size so there's legs on one side, so it's sort of tipped at an angle in that bucket. And, you know, it's got the square pattern, so you can just wash the brush off in there. Pretty easy, it works pretty good. And then I made, just out of a rectangle shaped garbage can, it's probably, you know, 2.5 feet tall. Just popped a hole roughly down the middle of it, popped a hole on either side, put a drumstick through that motherfucker, chopped off the ends of the drumstick, and then put a few strips of duct tape across all 4 sides of it, so you sort of got like this like a rim on it, and then you just fucking smash that motherfucker against the drumstick, and it's got this duct tape splash guard rim around it. Works pretty good. But just one thing to keep in mind if you do it like sort of out in the open like this, when you're fucking near the edges and you're getting pretty crazy with your brush, it's flicking paint off. Like when you leave the edge of the canvas. So I noticed this table that I got the easel set up on, there's tiny speckles of paint everywhere. But, so don't have it near maybe like your computer monitor or something. It could be bad, but otherwise paint thinner gets this shit off. Because again, it takes forever to fucking dry, so Alright, now let's do a little red down at the bottom. And again, red is pretty powerful, so you don't need much. And you can always add more, so if it's turning out pink, fuck it. Add more, man. Right here. Just go for it. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're not going to be selling your fucking paintings anyway, so just try shit. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, hey, you try to learn from it and try to do something a little different next time. The main thing, I guess, is just have fun with it. Get a little music going and you're set. Now, yeah, I'll probably clean the brush again. That's another thing, just try different ways of doing it, like, because we're going to blend these together now, so try blending them, one painting without cleaning the brush first, do another one, where you clean the brush. Fuck it, why not? And after you beat the devil out of it to get the excess paint thinner off, it's usually a good idea tap it off on a little paper towel. So I just have a ton of paper towels I just fold up into a square and keep them nearby. Get it, because the paint thinner, you want this stuff thick for the most part. There's certain times where you're doing highlights and stuff where you'll intentionally thin down the paint, but other than that, you want this shit as thick as fucking possible. So now we can work on fucking pulling this down, and then we'll go back and pull that up, and yeah, maybe start with the purple first, because red's probably going to overpower the hell out of it. So take what we got up top and just pulling her down. And yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. Maybe just whip any extra paint off of the bristles. You don't have to wash it. We'll get that red going. Bottoms up. Pull that shit up. Now, beat the extra paint off of that. Now we're just gonna go for it. Really start spreading her around and get her all blended. Colors spilling into each other willy-nilly. Purples in the red, reds in the purples. It's just pure pandemonium. See how it just softens out? It's like fucking crazy. Now you got a pretty fucking smooth transition. And just go straight across. Doesn't have to be hard, just getting those brush strokes out of it. Bam! Not too shabby. Now, let's see what we will attempt to do here is put some water in. So for that, we can just go straight up into the blue. Again, a little kind of goes a long way. I kind of went a little overboard here, maybe. Got a little too much paint on there. But we'll see what happens. So that down there. And who knows? Oh, snap. It could creep right on up in there. Oh, man. What is going on back there? It's hard to tell. And I think we might, yeah, we maybe should put in a mountain before, because that's another thing. You want to everything. You're building in layers, but it's still hard as hell to get a sense of perspective or depth out of it to get like that. So you want to do the things that are the farthest away first, and then just keep building whatever is closer and closer to you, which sounds so easy to do, but fucking A, it's often not. No. Mountain colors, I usually try to do just like a grayish color, maybe some purple in there, some relatively dark. And then working with these fucking knives, man, that takes a lot of getting used to. Bob makes it look so easy, like cutting mountains in or doing those water edge line things, which those are a nightmare. But it's another thing. You just keep practicing and eventually you'll get it. So I guess let's put some mountains way the hell back here. Peek on that one. There it is. You don't need much. You don't gotta scrape down much because you kind of, well, depending on how far back you want them to be, but then you'll take the paintbrush and sort of scrape it, or paintbrush and sort of smooth it on down. Edges are a bitch too because of the fucking frame thing there, but hey, if everything was easy, it wouldn't be a challenge. Right? You sort of have them. Yeah, maybe just that. They're way back there. Hopefully, by the time we're done. Hopefully they look like they're off in the distance. And I guess I should try to use this 1-inch brush here, and now it's where you figure out how the hell they're gonna look. How to make them stand out in front of each other. It's always the tricky part. So I guess we can take this one and he sort of comes down like that. This side is coming back off that way. Nose. How would that? Okay, so we'll just do one of those. And that's going that way. This one could be going this way. I honestly have no idea what I'm doing. Just trying out different stuff. See what works, see what doesn't work. And That's another thing. You're trying to figure out where the sun's coming from, how shadows will look, how to make these look interesting in some way. Yeah. It's tricky. This one's all part of the same thing. Pull that down into the nothing. Yeah, we'll see if we can work with that. Let's see. And you can, he always does the old snow tops. For that, take a chunk of white. You could probably just use some of that mountain gray that you were just using. Mix up a bit of that shit. They always talk about just mix it a little so it's sort of marbleized, but again, that is so much easier said than done. But practice, practice, practice. It's the only way you'll get it. Use a smaller knife here, and this truly is the hard part, because you got to be so gentle yet still try to get the paint to stick, and then trying to remember like the lay of the mountains here. So which one would be in back? Fuck. It's impossible to tell. So maybe how would we? I guess we'll start on this one and see what happens. And try to follow the flow of the mountain, what direction it would be pointing in. And this is something that they just make look so fucking easy, man. But it is not. This is quite frustrating. Just barely. All right. Don't try not to push too hard, because then it just smears it and everything's fucked. But try to get that little roll on the end, and I don't know how I am barely touching it. It just leaves a huge fucking glob at first. It's going to be the most boring mountain in the history of mountains, but it's our mountain nonetheless. Maybe that one just does a little like that. And again, see, it just smeared it all over. What can you do? Yeah, I guess maybe that'll be what. guess one thing that's important is try not to go overboard with it, because then you could just fucking ruin it. So again, it'll be something that takes practice. My first attempts at mountains were just a fucking joke. They were just a blur. Like Bigfoot. Just a disaster. Impossible to tell what the hell's going on. So there's that. You can, I guess, put shadows in on the backside. That's a fucking hard thing to do as well. For that, he always try to, they put blue in it, but I don't know, blue shadows kind of look weird. So if you want to take what you just made there, add more of the mountain gray to it. Or try it with blue as well, fuck it. Put pink shadows in, it doesn't matter, to be honest with you. I don't know how the hell he does that and makes it look so easy though. Maybe use the smaller side of the knife. Your hands are gonna shake like crazy too. That's great. Really easy to be accurate when that's happening, huh? Oh, that's a disaster. Oh, huge mess. Oh no. See what I mean? Hey, it's just the way it goes sometimes. Just really hard to get a fucking thin layer that breaks on there. Yeah, that ain't the best for sure, but fuck mountains, man. This is a joke. I don't even know how the fuck other ways to do this shit. It's just bad, bad, bad. That's atrocious. What the fuck? Oh, well. There we go. Still terrible, but again, if you mess something up, what the hell, go in and experiment. It's a good time to do it. If it's already looks like shit, just try something, see what happens. Can't hurt. Now the part that is just the biggest bitch of all is trying to make the depth. So try to add land on both sides and try to have sort of like a cliff. Like up in Wisconsin, there's these, on the peninsula up by Green Bay, on the Lake Michigan side, there's these Dolomite cliffs that look really cool. And you can literally just walk right up to the edge and jump into Lake Michigan if you so desired, but I don't recommend it. It looks terrifying. But we'll try to mix up some shit here. I've got to clean up some space here real quick. All right. So it basically, again, for like a bottom layer of something, you want that dark, and then build highlights and shit on top of it, which is supposed to create the sense of depth. But so we'll try mixing up some dark brown and green and whatever the fuck else we want to throw in there. Try to make a good base for 2 chunks of land here on either side of the water, and then sort of eventually over the back. We'll try to even see if we can make it appear like this water's curving back behind a hill or some shit. That's another kind of key thing, like everything just sort of going to this infinity point. Meh. Fuck it, try to experiment with something, see what happens. Alright, let's take a big old glob of green. Some brown. See what the hell happens here. Maybe add more brown to that. Get it. That's another thing. Try to keep colors far enough apart so when you add highlights, it, you know, sort of pops even more. All right. Yeah, this turns out. I don't know what the best way to add shit. Let's try a fan brush. See how that fucking works for laying some grass down. Now, I don't want these mountains far away. Gonna be stuff in front. Push them way back. Yeah, this probably doesn't have to be perfect or anything, just slap some color down underneath. Okay. So we were gonna make a bunch of stuff way off in the distance. No, we're gonna connect that land in the back. So if we can try to, what the fuck? Sort of come around out of nowhere. Far enough? Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. Okay. Yeah, these fan brushes are hard to get the paint out up near where it's sort of the bristles are clamped in. It always accumulates there, and yeah, it's a bitch. That's better. Okay. What if... Okay, so we want to keep going from the back forward, right? So... maybe we should make stuff that sort of stands in the background in front of the mountains. Let's try the big old brush. It'll be the first time we get to bust that beast out and see if it can tap. Things will be less vibrantly colorful when they're far away. So use the same sort of dark green that we used there. Add some white to it, see if we can lighten that up, make them sort of dulled out. Even add black to it, really sort of mute them. Let's try that, try a little touch of black in there. Turned into a gray color. A little more of the green, huh? Try to wrestle some of the color back. Do what you gotta do, you know? Try stuff, see what happens, make mistakes, learn from them. Yeah, now we're getting some green. So, the attempt will be to sort of tap in a line across here with it's just shit way off in the distance. We'll see what happens here. And this is where it starts to get a little tricky too, trying to get fucking paint to stick on paint. So these things will just be way the hell, way off in the distance, but sort of the appearance like they're sort of in front of the mountain. Not too bad. Just something where it looks like there's maybe big old trees way the hell back there. Just to break up these hard edges, you know? Yeah. Maybe some of them creep up onto the mountain. Who knows? You know? It's not for us to decide. Well, so far I gotta say the tapping properties of this brush ain't bad. It's seems to keep things sort of divided out. Instead, other brushes just smear everything into a fucking blur and it just looks terrible. But yeah, this one ain't too bad. So now that we got that way back there, let's try to do highlighted stuff. Sort of make it so it'll be more muted because it's still pretty far back. But we'll take that greenish color we just got there. See what happens when we add yellow to it. You need a ton of yellow. Starting to get a little lighter. I guess this is why Bob, like they say, mixes shit on the brush, so you sort of get a whole medley of stuff going on. This way it's, you know, the same, but whatever. Probably won't even need to get the extra paint off of there and try to go in and put a little hilly and back off in the distance. Not a big enough difference in contrast, but we'll try it out, see how it looks when we add another layer in front. Have to go really bright with that one probably, but again, it's all part of the fun in learning. Maybe this one comes in like that and swoops down a bit. Could always be worse. Now I'll add a bunch more green for the foreground stuff. It's still probably not a big enough jump in green hue, but it's what we're going with, baby. I think it seems like he would be in the shadow. That one might come out just like so. Huh. funny how you can spend an hour trying to fuck with this shit and make it look halfway normal, and old Bob Ross is banging them out in a half hour, fucking like 22 minutes or however long the episodes were. Crazy. So we will never know if that is going to be any good or not. I guess. Now I'm just gonna get into the goddamn cliff things. I want to see. Can always put the trees in later. Like we'll put couple trees in, try to give more distance with that. Clean some shit up here. And if anyone knows what you do with used paint thinner, let me know. I have no idea what the fuck to do with this shit. So, live like 100 yards or so away from the old river in town here, so it's always plan B. Okay. Let's do it. So we'll do, I guess you could probably just use straight up brown for the base of this. The base coat, I should say. Again, you're gonna put highlights on there. And with this, I guess you don't really, we'll be scratching off a bunch of the paint that we just put on. So you don't really need to leave a thick coat here, but I'm just gonna try to fucking make a cliff face that sort of goes back. Okay, maybe we'll try it. Maybe we'll try this. So that could be. Yeah, it looks like that's where it would be. I guess we didn't need any brown yet. Sort of scrape away the old shit first. Oop. Thick as hell, so that's a good thing. That's what she said. I'm gonna get sued by Steve Carell. Worth it though. Alright, so fucking go on in, figure out where the cliff is going to be, scrape that paint out of there, and the fucking magic time of creating perspective. Probably not going to be a very good job at that, but I gotta figure out where it's going to be first. right. See if we can put some brown in now. And then this, I guess, sort of keep in mind how you want the shoreline to look. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's all going to get blurred out as a reflection anyway. Just want to get sort of a basic undercolor. Maybe they're not so as symmetrical as you might want them to be. Maybe this one fucking gets a little ballsy and comes out like that. This motherfucker's got places to be. Got no time to stick by the shore. He's going for it. Look at that. All right. Maybe not worry that it's so squared off. Maybe we'll fix that. Hopefully be able to fix that at some point. Who knows? If anyone's got any tips or tricks, that would be greatly appreciated. Or if you just want to tell me how terrible it is, believe me, I know. Now, the old highlights on here. Just lighten up that brown, baby. This is where they say keep it marbled. Pull it out thin. Cut across. Look at that. Try to follow the lay of the land, the flow of things. It's always so much easier said than done. was way too much. Oh no. That's a disaster. Oh, fuck it. Oh, what can you do? We'll just, oh man. Point is to let some of the dark show through, but I'm doing a piss poor job at that, let me tell you. Alright, there we go. A little something. Definitely could be worse. Now, the frustrating part is trying to cut water lines in. Not even sure why this canal type thing would even exist, but it does, so whatever. So we'll take some of the white and we're gonna thin this bitch down little by little with paint thinner. Could use the liquid white, but it's a fucking mess getting the cap on and off of that bitch, so we're just using dirty old paint thinner. Oh, works the same. Oh, after we pull the reflections down, almost forgot about that. Into the water. So otherwise, yeah, without you don't pull the reflections down, you'll just be smearing fucking paint all over, and that's gonna make you pissed. So you've seen it done a million times. Take the old brush. Actually, I could use the smaller brushes will actually work really well for this stuff. Pull that shit down. With the sound effects, of course. It's the only way it works. Pulling on down reflections. Yeah. Well, they're going every directions. Smaller brush back here. Oh yeah. Hey, just give her one of those and whoops. Got paint thinner all over my damn hand. Then take the brush, the bigger one, give her a quick wash down. And then gently across. Like a ghost's whisper. Blur them out back there. A little bristle stuck in the painting once in a while. Oh well. You bitch. Oh, you fucker. So if that happens, just sort of blend it out. That's beyond terrible, but that's what we got. That's what we got. Now we can get into that water line. Really start fucking some shit up. Something he makes look so easy. Oh, just cut it in. Yeah. I'm pushing pretty fucking hard. I am trying to cut it in. No, we use the smaller knife because we got to get back up in there. It's just smearing brown everywhere. This is gonna fucking be a disaster. Fuck it, go for it. Cutting water lines, baby, like the fucking city. Oh, big old glob. That's fucked. Dude, that is just awful. What the fuck? Big fucking thing in the middle. That is just, get it out of there. Oh, it's just a nice little highlight. Oh, and of course, and then that one fucks up too. Yeah. It never even happened. Chaotic as fuck shoreline for absolutely no reason. The water is completely calm. But it doesn't have to be real. Fuck it. Anything and everything is happening here. Maybe it is more chaotic back there. Who knows? Yeah, that's junk. That is just an absolute pile of shit. But that's the way it goes. It is crazy how covered with paint you will get. That shit never ends. So let's put some fucking happy trees in. With this absolute disaster we got going on here. That shit way back there. Go right into whatever the hell color is this. Oh, it's just brown. It dark. Base coat stuff. If you put highlights underneath, it should be pretty dark. A little more brown up in there. Oh, the fan brush is such a disaster. Oh, the paint just globs all up at the top. The opposite place where you want it. Ah, well. Boom! There that is. Get that bitch down in there. That's fucking so caked with paint you can't even do anything with it. Use our knife to maybe scrape a little bit off. Yeah. Hopefully that's a little better. That hot rod a little bigger. You basically want to fill most of the stuff in. You always need a friend, right? Yeah, right there. Put highlights on them later, they'll stand out slicker than shit. To be outdone, we gotta put something on this side. Right there. Can't even see it. See that? Earlier I mentioned how important it is to fucking use contrasting colors, but and then you'll notice, I don't know, man, I gotta maybe buy better quality paints. It starts getting a little soupy. Like, that's the last thing you want. Once it's soupy, it's just gonna fucking smear. So putting highlights on these trees is gonna be an absolute bitch, because it's not gonna want to stick. Well, what can you do? I have no idea what to even do with the shoreline or the fucking cliff here. It just looks awful. So we'll do that. Maybe there's some shit growing down over it. Who knows? Way too much paint. It's just gonna start smearing around. Yeah. Oh, well. Try to get the 10 pounds of paint that are stuck in the fucking fan brush. Yeah, highlights. Just add a shitload of white to the green. Of course, some paint thinner because we want to try to layer it. And with paint thinner, a little goes a long way, so keep that in mind. Here come the worst highlights you have ever seen in your life. Makes it pop though. If we had more contrast between the grounds and but try something different. Go to even more extremes next time in your color variances. If you notice it's starting to like sort of smear around, try adding a little more paint. If that doesn't work, add some more thinner. But it should sort of just leave globs behind. Shouldn't really be smearing it. I guess you can always just dip the old corner of the brush in there. Thin it up a little bit that way. So, well, have to work on my ground colors, try to figure that shit out to make it more contrast, you know. But, I mean, it could always be worse. The mountains just sort of disappear into nothing, so maybe we can... I don't have any colors mixed up properly. Fuck it, we'll just do that real quick. Now it's important we do not have thinner on this motherfucker because we're going to put thinned paint over top. Boom. The guy lives right there. So yeah, you notice the edge of something sort of messed up, hide it. Fucking put a tree there. Right, the best use of the tree, just fucking put her anywhere, it hides everything. Oh, now it's way too much thinner. Now it's a total, like, ink. Yes, so that is completely terrible. I mean, it's comparable with the piece of shit I made yesterday. Skies are equivalent. That's about the only thing, and my shoreline turned out way better. I'll grab that in a second, show you how fucking... Oh, and a cool thing about oil paint is, so say you got a bunch left over like this, you don't want to throw that away because this shit's relatively expensive. Like, if you're gonna really get into painting and use a lot of, because it takes a good amount of paint, like green. Use a lot of green for sure, brown. But I used half of the white, and I had the biggest glob of white compared to any other color. You just throw this motherfucker right in the freezer. You don't gotta cover it or nothing. Just put it in the freezer. Helps keep the oxidation from happening, and you'll have a week. Probably after like a week or so, you'll notice there might be a little like coating on it. Peel that shit off like a burnt marshmallow. So you can always do that. But otherwise, yeah, throw it in the freezer when you're ready to start painting. Pick it out like an hour before because it's gonna have condensation all over it. But it's oil based, so the water ain't gonna fucking do anything to it. It ain't gonna go in there. Just let the condensation evaporate off and you're good to go. So that's another cool thing about oil painting. And cool thing about this, like you've seen if you watched any of this, fucking mistakes make, just paint over it, try something different. If necessary, just take your knife and literally scrape as much of the paint off as you can. You could do the whole fucking thing over, just scrape all the shit over. You have to wait to let it dry. Then you can reprime it, repaint over it. So, I don't know. It's kind of fun trying different things. Oh yeah, I'll show you the one I did yesterday. Still wet, so yeah, obviously you gotta be mindful of that, but see if that makes sense side by side on camera. So you can see it a little bit different. In ways, my mountains in this one turned out better. Cliff face turned out a little better. But here you see I tried to fucking incorporate hills into it, and that's just a disaster. But shoreline looks a lot nicer. Still, I gotta work on the ground and getting a depth of field. So I guess next time I should try make the shit way in the background, not dark at all. It's almost like ghostly. It'll be so pale and thin. There'll be no color. Yeah, I guess that's what I should have done because it's so distant away that it doesn't have rich colors in it. So try to use white, tiniest bits of black mixed in with your colors to try to mute them. But just make them sort of as pale and muted as possible to put them way off in the distance. And then I imagine things sort of get richer in color as you get closer to them. So you could try that. I'm certainly gonna. Because as you can see, like, I don't know if this is the 12th or 13th painting I've done. Some things turn out good. Like skies are fun to do because you could just sit there for a long time and keep just blending it together. And if you overblend it, add a shot of color again. Put a little more red at the bottom and then try a little more purple at the top. But I mean, you can get, with the wet on wet technique, such smooth transitions. Like, I think it looks cool as fuck. But other than that, you know, pine trees are relatively easy. If you got decent brushes, that definitely helps. And like I said at the beginning, high quality paints. Some of these, they come out already not runny or anything, but I don't know, I don't even know what to fucking describe how you would want it, but it's not like ketchup consistency, but yeah, I'd probably try to buy a tube of some thicker paint just to see because it is considerably more expensive, like the artist level version of this is like 45 bucks. This is 20. So you can try. These littler ones are like 14 bucks for the top of the line shit. So I'll probably try one of them. If there is a good enough difference, then slowly work it on over, but fuck. Other than that, and you could put clouds in. That stuff's relatively easy. Just make like dark purplish or even black with the fan brush and just like swirl them on. And then you've seen, if you care about painting like this, you've seen Ross do it 1,000 fucking times, so you sort of get the gist of it. But other than that, man, this is one thing. I got some more canvases ordered on the way, so I don't know, maybe just keep streaming these for the fuck of it. Why not? If I'm gonna paint, might as well stream it and maybe inspire other people to paint some stuff. And again, you can see, who gives a fuck if you're not good? Like, I can't imagine how many, like, thousands and thousands and thousands of paintings Bob Ross must have done. Any fucking artist, for that matter, that's not like a whatever it is where you just take a paintbrush and slap paint on the canvas, which isn't even fucking, you're not an artist. A fucking chimpanzee can do that. Like, it's just ridiculous. Or the shapes. The fuck Tom Haverford, obsessed with shapes. This is honestly a relatively easy way to be able to make, like, oh, this kind of looks like mountains. Oh, those kind of look like pine trees. Man, doing that shit without the ability to have the fucking ink sort of, or the paint sort of flow together, like, you would never get this smooth of a sky in the short amount of time that I got it. It was like a couple minutes and the shit was looking like this. Could you imagine if it was just like dry canvas, oil paint on dry canvas? First of all, the amount of paint you'd be using would be out of control. That'd bankrupt you in a heartbeat. But then you wouldn't get the smooth whatevers. Now there's a bristle right there, but you go in and try to get it, it's gonna might fuck some things up. But it's already fucked up, so who gives a shit? Go in and get them bristles. Get them out of there. And maybe give it a little. There you go. Good as new. which was terrible to start with, so. But if you're instantly good at everything, you probably wouldn't put in any time to actually grow to appreciate what you're doing. But you'll have some strengths for sure. Like me, I enjoyed doing the skies, and water can be fun if you put in, if you want, do the reflection, whatever the sky color is. So if you got like a red sky, you'd put the water down, and then if you got some paint left over from that, just sort of brush it in. Or while you're doing the sky, you just sort of leave the trail down, and then you'd put the water in, and then, yeah, that's how you'd actually do it. While you're doing the sky, leave where you'd want your like shimmering light to be. Usually almost dead on from where your vantage point is. And then when you put the water in, just brush up to it that way. So if this is where the shimmer is, and then you come from this side in, and then just sort of flow them all together, and you'll keep that nice. It'll be some blue in the reds and purples. So that's the cool part is, like, for me, like, it would be cool to have just enormous canvas so you can really get into it. And I wonder if the size of it makes a difference too, if you're so constrained on trying to make everything, because I think this is like an 11 by 16. I had other 16 by 20s, which seemed a bit easier, but I got 16 by 20s on the way, so hopefully, well, not hopefully, it's a certainty when I get those I'll do more. But in the meantime, wallow in my sorrow for another failure, but it's more practice, so who knows what we'll try. I tried building a cabin once, and that was you need either you're gonna fucking just go for it, and however it turns out, man, if you try to be any type of precision with these knives and shit, it's unbelievable how shaky your hand will become. But, you know, and again, like a bigger canvas, a small cabin would still be relatively good sized. So maybe that was my problem before, trying to put a little cabin in with a relatively big palette knife. Who knows? But some of the stuff down there, it looks kind of cool. You get different shades and stuff. I wonder if you could, well, how would you, I wonder how you would paint layers in. 'Cause that's how it is in Wisconsin. Like, the glaciers ground away pretty much all 200 to 300 million years worth of land that was on top of the sandstone bedrock from the Cambrian era, like 450 million years ago. So you pretty much everywhere you go in Wisconsin, like the Wisconsin Dells, you do them boat tours of it. It's just huge sandstone bluffs. And there's, because all of that land on top was ground away by the glaciers, and then whatever made them melt rapidly washed any remaining shit away. There's never been a dinosaur fossil found in Wisconsin. We're the only state. They've even found them like in Hawaii, which kind of doesn't even make sense. It's just volcanic islands. But maybe it's the continental 48. I don't know. But I know the state of Wisconsin there's never been a dinosaur found, and our fossils suck dick too. We only got like the fuck are those things? I can never remember the name of them. They're sort of like the nautilus would be the closest living thing to them now, and like trilobites. It's pretty much all we got. And there are only certain hot spots around, because back then, Cambrian era, fuck, Wisconsin was just north of the equator, shallow tropical seas, all them stupid little crustacean fucking things from back then, just creeping around, and eventually some of them became fossilized. So that's what we got. This is what I got. It's terrible, but hopefully some parts were enjoyable, and maybe you'll tune in for the next one.